Okay, so I'm back from trying to let my dog outside. Apparently she didn't want outside, she wanted fed. Perfectly on time, this dog is like knows when she wants to be fed, walked, everything. Something I'm never going to get used to because I have a time consistency that might as well be equivalent to a Gaussian random generator. It's all over the place. But right before I started the recording back up, I did a few things. I finished texturing these all out so we could see where the stuff starts and finishes. It's not perfect. It'll work though. And then I added so the character that's been generating in the middle. I changed it to tell me what key I've pressed, so I can hit Q, W, E, R, T, U, V. So we can sit here and we can figure out what we're doing here. Now there seems to be an issue with the characters being centered, which is might exactly be wrong. So you see how the I is there and the C is there? Why is the C over there though? This is what I never get. Um, is all of the characters should render exactly at the same position. Like there should be not a single difference. And you know what I might have to do? I think I have an epiphany here. I need to do this. Um, okay, so the first character we want to render exactly at the first position. The next character we want to render at the first position plus the difference to the last position, plus our spacing variable, which we might get rid of. So we're gonna close this. I'm gonna leave that character render in the middle because it's actually useful. I can tell what keys I'm hitting. You guys can see what keys I'm hitting. Surprisingly easy that worked. Really quickly, let me jump to the code. It's character.toValue, keyboard input.current key. Current key is whatever key I pressed last. It's an integer value. I didn't think I was going to be able to convert from an int to a char to a string. But this will convert the integer to a char array, which then will convert to a string, which then, actually I don't need this, I can just do this. Okay. So hit W, C, so if we go Q, W, E, R, T, U, V, what the squiggle is that? What in squiggles? Okay, so that's comma, that's that. Now if I hit shift, okay, so we have no handling for shift. So whatever key we hit, but what? That should be, um, that should be a semicolon. It kind of looks like a semicolon. Where is the semicolon here? So we're looking for a squiggle pretty much. I think it's this right here. Is that red in here? No, it's blue. We're gonna have to switch to like something like Times New Roman because we're starting to get here. There's a semicolon right there, so that should be what that is. Yeah, we're getting a squiggle. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. Backspace gives us question mark. Everything gives us question mark when we hit anything else. So those are correct. That's correct. Even the grave key looks good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of our letters look good. P looks like it got slightly cut off somehow. So let's go to F real quick. F looks good, and then P. Both those characters look good. Somehow F is still overlapping P up there in the top. S looks like it's getting overlapped even slightly. We add alpha transparency back, some of this issue will go away. We're going to get rid of the spacer. So we're going to close this. I don't need this anymore. We're going to go to our font render. If we get rid of the spacer, this should work a little better. Okay. We got gaps between letters still, which is what I don't like. The I is missing off entity, so it just completely disappeared. The Y is completely crushed. So if we go Y, okay, that's not going to give us the lowercase y. But, wow, H is squashed as hell. Why is H so narrow? Let's change, well, if I change my font, I gotta export my data again. I gotta figure out why these aren't spacing correctly. So I guess we need the spacer. We need that 1 pixel spacer, but I'm going to transition it to a 2 pixel spacer. I is still not rendering up there for some reason. I mean, it's there. I can see a little blue thing. Okay. So this does need to be scaled. Looks a little better. I is still missing though. I doesn't seem to want to render correctly at all. Okay, so there's uppercase I. For some reason, lowercase e is getting clipped as well. You see that? It doesn't really render well. Where's our width math? Instead of putting the spacer here, I'm going to put the spacer in the width math. So this will just be width times scale. And then somewhere up in our geometry here, the width has got a little screwed up. So we're going to add a pixel to each side. Or I just add a pixel to the side to prevent things like I and getting crushed. Well, that is seeming to have made everything worse. So it's not the UVs. Actually, if we had one here, that'll actually fix that. I is still messed up. Lowercase y is still messed up. P is still getting clipped right there. All the numbers are rendering perfectly fine. I mean, all this stuff should work correctly. Get width. So we're going to get width plus 1 because that's what our actual width is now. Still missing the eye is basically non-existent. We need to just render all the characters real quick. I hate to do it the hard way, but this is cool, but this isn't doing us much help. We just gotta let it do it the hard way. So A, B, C, D, E, G, H, J, K, L, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. I think I did my alphabet there correctly. So I just gotta do it all again. Okay, and then we just want to font render this. So we want to render in the center of the screen, so we want to go 0, 0. The next one down is going to be half the height. We're going to render these both at full size. So we want to do, that's 0. We want to then render this -1. And then we want to do all of our numbers real quick. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Both the brackets, both the squiggles, colon, colon, comma, comma, thingy. Why did it? Oh, slash, comma. It's this way, comma. There we go. That's how you get commas and things. Question mark, minus plus equals underscore if it'll do it, and then times. There's going to be no divide symbol. And that should be most of the characters right there. This is going to be -2. And then we're going to repeat the whole thing, and then we're going to render it at half scale. And the reason why I'm doing 2 runs of this is because I need to know if there is a legitimate difference between scale renders. So hit here, run main. Wow. We got legitimate problems with our code. See, our space is too high between a lot of these things. Between other characters, our space is too low. So we got A, B, D, C, E, H, I, J, K is completely screwed up there for the lowercase stuff. This is why we test things, is that there legitimately is a problem with some of this code. X, Y, Z, W, X. W screwed up, X, Y. Okay, a lot of these are screwed up. Okay, so we're gonna run this on debug. Actually, we can't run this on debug because we gotta regenerate the meshes. So it looks like it is a mesh issue, which meshes are generated. Okay, well, we're in the wrong class. Meshes are generated up here. Okay. So when we hit generate, we should have all of our data. Okay, we're not going to scale our width because that's not what was the problem. Our textures are legitimately not an issue. If we go down here, we need to fix any doctoring we did with the math down here as well. Go to rerun real quick to see how much that modifies our renders. Okay, I didn't fix anything. K is actually even more gone than it was before. I is rendering just fine. For some reason, it's not rendering up there, which tells me there's a spacing issue with T. If we go T, T is some reason larger than everything else. Spacing is not perfect on it. Wow, there's so much issues with this code. This is why, I mean, if you ever make your own game, using a library is probably the best option to go with rendering it. I'll probably transition my library down the road because I want to render more text types. But I'm doing it the hard way because I want to learn how to do it the hard way. Although at the same time, I'm not using examples, so... Let's see. It's got to be this code right here. Get size X. So we're taking the width, and we're dividing by cell width. That should get us our percentage of size, is what it should give us. As our size is based on the ideal that 32 is the width. You know what we could do? Public float size. And then we can just call, we just make a method exactly like this. Width dot size. Okay, we return size. Return, yeah, return size. We don't need this method. Get size X literally is our size object. So we just want to get size. I think what was happening is we're timesing get size repeatedly, and that's causing a couple issues. Of course, this code up here is not even close to correct. But when we go to calculate the meshes, if our data is not missing, we want to cache our size. So we got to calculate our size first, though. So float size. Yeah, we'll just calculate down here. Float size equals width divided by cell width. And we're calculating it the same exact way, but we're storing it so we're not recalculating every tick, and then it should match with whatever we set our mesh size to. So if we set our mesh size to this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go if font data dot index does not equal null. We then want to go font data index dot size equals size, and we'll cache it, and it should, in theory, do something. It may not change what the issue we're having, but it should make things more consistent. It actually broke everything. GG. Okay. This needs to be times by a float. This is actually why it failed. And then we need to times by our default size, because this will cause a different issue if we decide we wanted to cache our font sizes, which we're not going to do. Okay, we got a cluster mess of everything there. Okay. So the size of our mesh Okay, this actually needs to be this size. This needs to just be the size then. Call this mesh width to not be confusing. Then we want to run it real quick. Ooh, look at that. That was the issue. We weren't consistently calculating the thing. Something was wrong with our math. It's fixed though. All of our position data is correct. Now we just got to fix the background. But our spacing's done correctly, so we know we've done that. So nice. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this for later. Always like it when this stuff actually works correctly. You know why I'm at it real quick? I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna store a mesh on each of these. I'm gonna do this instead. I'm gonna put my index here. Increment and check for max. We'll do this dot mesh because if we're already storing a font data object, so now we just need to be just storing the mesh in here. Public mesh. And then we just go char font data equals char font data dot, actually we don't want to go char font data, it's literally font data. And then we just go if data doesn't equal null. Or actually you want to go if data equals null. Then we want to go data equals font data dot star. We want to make sure we always have some kind of data object here. So this will be data dot mesh. That way we're storing everything in the char data. And I want to do a couple more things here real quick. So I want to go private void bind, private void unbind. So we're going to copy this code down to here, this code down to here, and then last thing I want to do is private void render. Then we'll go byte c. Then we want int x, int y, int z. And then float. Actually, this all needs to be floats. What I'm doing is I'm just really quickly cleaning up the code. By the way, when we go to do rotation, we're going to have to do a lot of geometry math. It's going to be entertaining, is the way I'm going to say that. Okay, so we want to do this real quick. We want to call, so above here, the reason I'm doing this is it becomes much easier to read the code when I can actually go, oh, that's what that is. And instead of going, well, we've got this above me, we got this to my right, we got this over here, we got things here, here, and here, and we don't know what it all does at any given time, and it's becoming really hard to read, is basically what my brain is telling me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm agree with you, and we break it down as simple. Because then it goes really simple, like this. Render chars, render background. Really simplistic code. And we can change this really quickly to render char. No? IntelliJ? No. I just want to rename that one method. And then this would just be x here. Because then we separate our position calculation code, separated from our actual render code. So here's our render code that actually does its work, the work. And we're actually going to do this now. So this can be put down here. So we set our uniforms and then we set our mesh here. Render our mesh, get our character data. I'm going to put this down here. This is set. This is basic what this is. It's all this code does is set position, get character data, and then render mesh. And then our textures are already set up on the mesh. So yeah, clean code now. But yeah, if we ever go do rotation, which I'm not going to do anytime soon because that's going to be something I have to do in the shader, we'll have to calculate our position based on our rotation. So we'll have to go, okay, we want to render at plus x1. We then need to rotate by like 30 degrees. Oh, it looks like Gogger's on, but I'm going to transition our texture back to our original here. So we're going to go delete and then rename. I could actually went into my GIMP file here and actually have exported again, but this is the easiest way to do it. I'm going to run main to see how that looks. Everything looks good. We got all of our code here telling us everything's good. We now need to fix our position math here. So for our position math, we just do the same thing up here. Cool thing is we can just recycle that variable. And we want to grab our char. We then want to increment by this. We then want to go x plus xf. And that should fix our background. Yep, backgrounds are positioned pretty good. They're a bit longer than they need to be. It's probably because there's a plus somewhere here that I didn't see. There's not a plus anywhere. You know why? Our background's a consistent size. I don't want to change that because then I'll have to start storing a background mesh per character, and we'll do that later. And right now it's not too much of a nuisance. I can do some math here. This is why I want to redo my render code as well. This would be so much easier if I could just define vertices real quick and call render, rather than creating a mesh, then binding that mesh, then sending data to a shader, then rendering the shader. Yeah, this all looks good. Yeah, it's cool. So I'm going to cut the video here, and I'll be back with more videos later.